Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host, Chantele Francis, here to conclude with the finale of Love is Blind Season 6, Episode 12. I have Tamika here with me. How are you, Tamika? And your hair is looking amazing.
Thank you. It's vacation hair.
Yes.
If you follow me on TikTok and Instagram, you've seen it. But yes, I decided last minute. I was like, I don't want to have to do my hair in the sun. I'm doing well. I am ready to go on this vacay, but I am so glad that I got this episode out the way. I think really what we're gonna need is to see the reunion because.
I definitely can't wait to see the reunion. And I guess what I want to know is, okay, well, let's just get right into it because we start right where Jimmy is asking Chelsea what is just her decision, what is she going to say at the altar, and it was kind of looking like she might say no or whatever, and then we come to this episode, and he's like, "Where are you at?" And she's like, "Well, right now I can say yes. We know how to handle conflict." And I'm just like, man, she definitely does not know how to handle conflict. And her vision of what she's gone through and what they've experienced together and the arguments that they have, we see in this argument that she's like, well, you just walk away. That's a marriage. Like, you're supposed to stay and you're supposed to fight and you're supposed to fight for it. Yeah. And he basically said that he was not willing to say yes to her at the altar.
Yeah. And the funny part is I said it. I said I hope he cuts out before we even get to the altar with them. I think that was the perfect scenario. And he was right. Everything he brought up in the conversation of why they should not be married, and she was trying to because I was worried. He was glossing over a lot. He had been like, oh yeah, you're right. And I was like, what are you talking about, Jimmy? Don't you see? Like, this is not good. You cannot get to the altar with it. And he was methodically just keeping track. Yeah, this is not going to work. 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 And he was absolutely right. And while she was still trying to gaslight him that all the reasonings that he had came up with for why they should not even put on the wedding fits, he was right. So I am going to say thank you, Jimmy, for sparing us and Chelsea the problematic altar, whatever that would have been. That would have been horrible.
Because she's just gonna be like, why'd you embarrass me like this? Like, she
would have gone the same thing. Why did you even ask me to marry you? He asked you to marry him because he actually thought maybe, and you basically helped him see that no.
Well, and it's the thing is that she, from what I could see on the show, was a different person in the pods than she was in that relationship outside the pods. It wasn't the same person.
Not at all.
Like, I didn't even recognize her because, like, remember in the pod, it's just like, oh my god, I'm sick. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Thank you. Like, she's just so like complimentary and like happy and say that she's easygoing and that she's done a lot of work on herself. And then in the pod, out of the pod, she's just like seemingly very, very insecure, very needy, very clingy, which is triggering for her. But I wonder if it's triggering because it's so real. It is so real. The poor man.
Yeah. I mean, and he said that though. Remember when they came out, he said, as long as you say the same person that I met in the pods, he wanted her. As long as you say the same person that I met in the pods, we will get married. We will be fine. She did not. She did not at all.
Well, there were two fights that they had where I was like, I thought it was the end and then it wasn't. And then I thought it was the end and it wasn't. And I agree with you. I was worried that maybe he was just going to, remember we talked about it, about like the fact that his father seemed to just take anything, that his mom was not in the same degree at all, whatever, but like the fact that his mom was a pack rat and like he was just like fine with that, and like she nitpicks at him a little bit, and so he doesn't let that bother him. him. So I was
Mhm.
worried that he learned to just not let
Just
things bother him, even though
mhm.
these things were catastrophic.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
he didn't. And I was really actually impressed because he was able to say to her, I don't want to go to the altar with you.
Yeah. I was hoping, I'm like, he's got, like, there has to be a, like, and they gave us a little bit of a red herring, like, they put it on Chelsea, and it's like, oh my god, maybe she says no. I was like, no, what did I say? She was never going to say no. He had to be the one to say no, and she would have been fine with that, because you see, she already tried to start trying to victim, you did this, why would you do this? And it was like, no, you guys are terrible together.
So bad, so bad. And what I think must have really it must have stung when he said, "You continue to make me realize that I've made the right decision."
Yeah.
And
And,
I'm like,
and Danielle saying right here, Jimmy dodged a bullet. He helped
yeah,
himself, dodged,
100%.
dodged a bullet. Hey,
Well,
Danielle.
like we saw that bullet coming for a while. It was like
Mhm.
going in slow mo, and we were just hoping that he was dodging it because it looked like he was going to take it for
Yeah.
a while. I was worried.
Yeah.
Hi Danielle. Hi Rachel.
Nice.
Yes, Rachel thought that it was going to be a repeat of Nick and Danielle, but I'm glad Jimmy called it off. Thought it should have ended her last drunk tirade.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe there's some sort of thing in their clause where like they only get paid if they get to a certain day, or
Mhm.
like I don't know why he didn't end it earlier.
Mhm.
Um,
I really do think, because like, somebody was saying they're mad that Clay let things get to where they got to, and I keep saying certain people are allowed to do certain things, and certain people are not allowed to do certain things. And I think agreements had to be made on who and what was gonna happen where. And so I think even if Clay might have been like, "Oh, I can't do this. Let me cut this out before we get to
they're
this
like,
point."
you actually promised that you'd go to the altar.
Yeah, I bet you they held him to it. I bet you he's watching the show and he's like, "Well, how come Jimmy and Chelsea didn't have to do all that? You know what I mean?" Like, because first of all, he said he had never seen the show. This was the first time he was involved in the show.
And he probably thought that like the decision had to be made at the altar. Like there was no alternative as to how you could end
Yep,
things if
yep,
that's the way that you felt.
absolutely. I bet you his producer told him that he could not go about it any other route.
Brutal.
Mhm.
I was proud of Jimmy too, Danielle, because what was great, and I felt bad because Chelsea probably could see it, but his face changed.
Oh yeah,
His face was no longer taking the bullshit,
yeah.
and it was just not receptive. And she doubled down though on what was hurting him the most, which I really like. What was one of the things that he was saying that it reinforced his decision was the right one.
Hmm.
But when he was like, I told you off camera
In
about
confidence.
something
Hmm.
about a friend of mine
Hmm.
that was going to be part of the show.
Hmm.
And I told you because I wanted you to trust me because you're my partner and I didn't want to keep anything from you. But
Mhm,
I asked you to
mhm,
keep it off camera. And you continuously bring it up on
and
camera.
mhm,
It's so disrespectful, and it shows that she doesn't really have a care for
mhm.
him, for
No,
his needs, for how he wants to have a relationship, for what she agrees to with him. And that would be a huge red flag for me. So I'm glad that he saw that flag waving in front of him.
yeah, and I said it. I said that was the line for him when they had that last argument. That the way she kept coming about the friend, you could tell was it for him, and it was really like, listen, I, I would have had a conversation like, okay, you guys slept together when? What was the circumstances? Have you guys slept together again since
It
then?
seems like it was just once.
Right. It seems like it was once, which, I mean, again, happens. Could have been college, could have been,
It
anytime.
could have been the beginning of their friendship. They're being like, that wasn't great. So let's not do that again, but let's be
Right.
friends.
And some people can, I know most people think that you can't cut off friend, like, I will say my ex-boyfriend is probably my best friend right now. Like, I talk to him every day. I mean, I don't talk to him about romantic things, but I talk to him about any and everything every day, all day. And he's the only one that doesn't judge. Well, other than my real best friend, but like, he doesn't judge me when I talk crap. He encourages me. He is an actual friend. So yes, you could come out of a relationship and know that maybe that person is not your partner in this
Romantically.
lifetime romantically, but be actual friends and what's best for each other and be okay with that. It happens, but you have to be secure enough to also understand that when you also have that person get a partner, a new partner or whatever, you have to live with what that means. And it felt like his girlfriend group were good, and he was good because he was opening up to Chelsea and giving her this information. The only person like not secure in any of this is Chelsea, and she was never going to be. And so he was absolutely right, because he would have had to give up friendships. He would have had to give up friendships.
Well, Rachel says, I wouldn't want my man being friends with someone he slept with, but Chelsea was being so hypocritical about it, especially since she's still friends with her
What
ex.
that came up, and I didn't even realize that. I didn't
Well,
even
she did
realize.
say that when they all met together, because he was
Mhm,
like, because he had asked, or maybe the friends, I don't know, it was the friends or Jimmy had asked her when they'd all had met up, being like,
mhm,
how do you feel about that? Like, she's like, oh, I'm totally cool about that. Like, I haven't, one of my exes I'm still really good friends with. Like, so she pretended to be easygoing and chill about that situation, and she actually was not
she
at
was
all.
being a
Now, I
hypocrite.
can understand like having some reservations, or like not necessarily wanting your partner to be friends with an ex. It kind of
Yeah.
like you said, it would come after a
It,
conversation.
I would have to have a conversation where be secure enough to understand that what were the circumstances that allowed it to happen, and what are the circumstances now that make sure that it's never going to happen if I'm your partner, right? And then yes, we can move forward. Otherwise, can you give up this friendship for me? No, then it's fine. Then we don't have to be together. Like that would be what it would have to be, but I would have to be secure enough with the information. But I still would never throw it in his face on camera.
No, like that would be, I would know that that would be a low blow.
Low blow.
And like how she would think that he would not be really upset by that.
Yeah.
Like, like it's shocking to me. Well, she continues to talk about how, like, why did you waste my time? And do you know what? I think that she wasted his time, because she actually didn't necessarily love him as much as he loved being chosen by him.
Yeah.
And that was a whole, in my opinion, her
Mhm,
whole competition that she was having with Jessica, that Jessica didn't know about, and
mhm,
obviously Jimmy didn't really know about, and she won and got the guy. And the whole thing was a game, and that's why I don't think it really worked out, because she was never true being her true self, and she was
mhm.
always just wanted to be chosen. And in the end, because of all those things, she wasn't chosen.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to give Jimmy a little credit here. I think he understood that. I think he got to the point where he realized she doesn't love me. She doesn't really love me. So I'm going to give her the opportunity to state that she doesn't love me just as much as I don't think it's going to work for between me and her. And he gave her the floor,
I
and
think I
she
think he was shocked that he said that they were going to go together. He's like, "Whoa."
no. You can't tell me things have not gotten back to him, like stuff that maybe she said to Trevor, or stuff that maybe she said to other people. You can't tell me she hasn't slipped up and really shown that she does not. This was a competition for her. This was a competition for her.
Yeah, and remember even when he was she was, well, they got into a little bit of fight because she said that Amy and Johnny were the strongest couple, and then
Mhm. He's like 5 times you said it. 5 times that we've been around other people. You said that Amy and Johnny were. I was like, damn, Jimmy, like that really hurt you, huh? Something about that really. pissed
Well, I
him
think it's
off.
because he probably is like, you know what? He's probably just like he saw the veil was raised, right? He's like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
true. They don't fight like us.
yeah,
Like they're in a real relationship that I think they love each other.
yeah,
And that's not what we have. Like
yeah,
he probably just saw the light.
yeah. And at the end of the day, he was right, because she's in there glossing over all their arguments and fights, and he's realizing, no, that's why we are not that couple, because our arguments and fights were nasty to the
Uh-huh.
point that I can't be in a relationship with you now.
Not at all. Not at all. So they both go their own separate ways. Anything else you want to say about Jimmy and Chelsea? Do you think that they're going to rekindle anything now that they don't have the pressure of marriage on the line? Do you think any new interesting information will come out at the reunion?
I'm interested to see about at the reunion what happens. Listen, they didn't get to the altar. It's also possible that they could have dated. I don't think
I
so.
think he's
I think
maybe
it
out
was
of there, but
fun. Yeah, I for them, I think it was done. I think it was the right move. Now, apparently, Jimmy was the catch of the season, apparently in the pod. So could he have dated somebody else? Maybe. Could we find that he's not single? Absolutely. I just I think that when we see the reunion, I think a lot of things might add up for him, but we'll see whether or not Jimmy's going to decide to allow her to make him the bad guy, or he's going to be like,
I think he'll stand up
no,
for himself.
yeah, yeah. And that's what I want to see. I want him not to necessarily be nasty to her, but call a little bit. There's stuff that she did, regardless of if you want to talk about her insecurities or not, but there's stuff that she did was gaslighty and nasty and inappropriate to him as a person, as a partner. And I want him to point those things out so that she understands, I'm like, this is where I came to this decision, and I am not the bad guy, no matter how much you want to make me the villain of your story. Sorry.
So Rachel thinks that Chelsea will come to the reunion trying to make Jimmy look
I,
bad
I
and justify her behavior.
I
100%.
think I think we've seen, I'm in therapy, and that she's already trying to gear up that Jimmy was the bad guy in this, and there are things that we did not see. And I'm sorry, just as much as Jimmy was trying to say Jessica was the bad guy in his villain arc, that there was stuff we didn't see. And when we find out, it's because she cussed him out, because when he read that letter to her that she wrote to her future husband, who she thought was him, he had no reaction. And so she cussed him out. And I said, you're lucky it was Jessica, because my ass would have cussed you out too.
Of course.
Like,
Of course. She was
really
pretty reasonable from what I saw.
not. I
Like, she
think
just
it's
was like,
reasonable.
because she kept on saying things like to Jessica, like, I'm a lot to handle, I'm a lot. And I'm like, I don't really see you be that a lot. Like, I wouldn't be scared of you. Like, I could handle you, Jessica. Come on.
Yeah.
Like, why are you so scared, Jimmy? Like, relax. Anyway, so I am excited to see the reunion, to see like this couple, because I would say that this season a lot of the attention has come from their dynamic and their relationship. So I wonder what Vanessa and Nick are going to ask them.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any good hard-hitting questions that will come through. And so I do want to see, like you, how Jimmy reacts, and if Chelsea has learned anything and will come with a little bit more maturity and a little bit more self-reflection.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I doubt it, but I'd like
I
to see it.
absolutely doubt it too.
Absolutely don't. So let's get to the bachelorette party. All the women are, or well, not all the women, but
I was gonna say.
AD and AB are there. um,
Interesting.
What?
Interesting bachelorette party.
Well, the only thing that I really wrote down about it is that AD was shocked that Amy hasn't slept with Johnny yet.
Yeah,
And that was like the biggest deal. She's like, "What? You didn't test drive the car yet? You haven't test drive the car?" And she's like, "Amy's such a firecracker. Like, how's that?" It's true. And like Amy's what?
yeah,
She's a Leo, I think,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's true. True, true.
She's like,
Lady,
I know,
ladies
I
best.
know, I know, I know the truth. She's done it. She just doesn't want to stay on camera, so her father like her. And I was like, well, it made me think a little bit. I was like, she might be right.
Like maybe not that she would have lied, or but maybe like on camera she
Mm-hmm.
made like like their conversations was around birth control,
Yeah.
and maybe in like times where there was no camera she just
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I'm willing to like sleep with you right now because
Yeah.
I just didn't want to talk about having sex on camera, so maybe.
Or there was a point where they literally hadn't slept together, and then there was a jump off point where they slept together and they just decided not to ever bring it up on camera. We've seen that before on like Married at First Sight, so I can see that. I absolutely can see that.
Danielle, you can see Chelsea showing up to the
I'm
reunion
telling you.
drunk and ready to fight. Yeah.
I'm telling you. I can
Hi,
see.
Lady Lyrics.
Hi, Lady Lyrics.
Anything else you want to say about that bachelorette party?
No, I just laughed that it was down to two couples, and I'm just like, this is the saddest thing ever.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't really want anybody else to be
Well,
there.
that's the thing. It's like I feel like in prior seasons, even when people have left and not had
They
the
made it to here.
they actually showed up to the bachelorette party for the girls. And so it's
Oh, yeah, so you're surprised that, like, Laura and,
no, I'm not surprised. I'm saying that it's just sad that it's come to that like I mean, because to be fair, Laura went through a lot, and there's no way I would continue to hang. Like I'm sure her and AD and Amy are good, but there's no way I would want to continue filming in the capacity that things ended for her.
yeah, with that man. We do see Clay with his friends, and he telling his friends that he knows that AD really loves him and all of his flaws, and his friend is it really believes in the process and thinks that the process is really working for Clay because they're seeing him in a new light. He's speaking about his feelings, quite articulating him very well, knowing that he loves her. Oh, you're shaking your head. What's up?
I'm telling I see I was talking to somebody earlier, and she was reaming Clay, and I'm just like he never
Trevor, Clay's dad, is who he thinks he should be reaming
yeah,
out.
I just like, oh, he never liked her, he didn't want her, and I was like, no, I don't agree with that. Okay, so we'll get there, but I'm just saying I really do. I feel like a lot of these conversations we're telling, and the fact that they are in the, as Game of Roses would say, document, right? That in the edit, that we can see it. The friends are saying how different Clay is, how much more mature, that they actually could see that he actually wants to be married. His family seeing the difference in him, his family even entertaining, getting to know AD, bring her into their lives, right? The fact that we are getting these conversations says a lot to me, that they felt like Clay was a possibility for getting married, right?
Mm-hmm. He was acting different,
Yeah, yeah.
Johnny and Clay have a little talk about where they are in their relationship. Johnny is pretty much like, I'm all in, I'm doing this, I'm ready to go. And Clay was just still speaking quite
Yeah.
well.
I was shocked at how it felt like Johnny was like tepid, and then he was just enthusiastic this episode. It was like, wow, I was like, oh my God, I think Amy and him are gonna get married.
Yeah, I definitely felt that they were going to get married. It's like, especially at this point, I was like, yeah, he looks like he is actually enjoying his bachelor party, and there's no like
Correct.
contemplation and like worry. Like he just looked like he was having a good time and
Yeah,
looking forward to the future.
yeah,
So we see AD's wedding day first, and she's the first of 7 siblings that are going to get married, which is really a big feat, if in a family that nobody, you haven't seen anybody in your close family that hasn't been married yet, and you're the first. Like that's a pretty big deal, I would
Yeah,
say. And we see like a review of their relationship, and I thought it was nice to see.
it was.
And I was like, I'm like, I hope that Clay puts on his big boy pants and says yes to AD, because I really felt that she deserved him to say yes. You know?
I watched it and I was like, they're great together. I watched it and I was like, this is literally a fairy tale, but he can't say yes.
I mean, I agree, but I really, really
I
wanted him.
really wanted it for her. Because I see a lot of people who wanted her to say no, and I said, if she ever had said
That would ruin Clay for any other
for
woman.
anybody, and I don't. That's not AD. She was never going to do that, right? I truly believe she believed in her love for him was going to overcome whatever issue she had, but I was like, he's just not ready. And I've watched, so season 2 with Jared and Iana, like, I feel like are very similar, where on paper I feel like they were a great couple. Let's taking out the equation that he proposed to somebody else, because that happens, right? Like, that's a possibility in this situation. Look at Zach and Bliss, right? Zach and Bliss are the example of when you propose to somebody else wrongly, and then you
It works
realize,
out still. Yeah.
yeah, you fucked up, and you went and fixed it, and you found your person. With Jared and Yana, he was not ready to be married, and he showed things throughout the coming home part, where it showed that their lifestyles, he was just not ready to be married.
Mhm.
But instead of saying, you know what, babe, I'm not ready for this, I reflected on it, I'm self-aware enough to say, I don't have what it takes to be the correct husband for you. He went through with it, and then he hurt her, right? And so I was okay if he hurt her here, because I feel like it would have been worse to hurt her after.
100%. No, and I agree, like, Rachel, I was glad that he said no, but I really wanted him to be ready to say
I
yes.
wanted him to be ready to say. I wish I they would have made. I feel like, I know people don't like him, and I know people don't have a problem with her, but I'm sorry. I feel like they would have been a great couple if he was ready. If he was
I don't know if
ready,
he'll ever be ready, to be honest.
and
I
I
don't.
don't know if he'll ever be. He needs a lot of therapy, guys. He needs a lot of therapy.
So we see AD with her sisters and her, I guess, nieces as flower girls. We see Clay with his boys, all kind of getting ready for the wedding, getting all dressed up. AD's mom arrives, and she talks about how she met Clay's mom, and how complimentary Clay's mom is of AD. And she's just kept on being like, the way that she talked about you, oh, the way that she talked about you, because I think she could see that AD was a really good woman that really did care about her son and was willing to
Mhm,
work through this with him. She was
mhm,
willing to do that.
yeah.
And because his mom is probably was like not sure that if her son would ever really be find somebody that would be willing to put up with him, you
Not
know?
even, I don't think they ever thought he would get to this point, and I think the process showed them why he probably was never ever going to get to this point, and it also showed him why he couldn't move forward and needed to fix things.
Mhm. Rachel, I agree. I wish we got to see Clay's and AD's mom meet. Netflix robbed us. Yes, I
Absolutely
really
right.
would have loved to see that reunion,
Me,
or the union.
yeah, meet up.
um, Definitely that would have been, because both of those moms are just such wonderful women, and I thought you gave excellent advice, and like they were just so good that I would have loved to see them meet, and like, yeah, it would have been great.
It would have.
And so Clay, his friends are really kind of giving him a pep talk and saying, like, you love this woman, and like you can do it. Like they were being supportive of their friend that are like probably for the first time they've seen him this close to like getting married. And
Yeah.
so I thought they were quite supportive.
Yeah, I think so too. I think also it seems like he is the first person to even get to this step in his friendship group, and so I think it would have been more of a jokey thing if they didn't see how far he came through the process. And that's why I'm saying that I really do truly believe that between them, because remember, at the suit fitting, his friend said he met AD and she's amazing. And so I think they really did see that why he chose AD. Like there was no joshing about the person he chose, right? They couldn't fake that they really liked her and could see her and him being together. So that I think helps with the support, because if you see the people like, oh my God, they could work out really, really well, then you can be supportive in the
Of course.
situation.
And like they don't have that toxicity that like Chelsea and Jimmy had. You know what I mean? Like where you
Yeah,
could see that like there was just some passive aggressiveness
yeah.
bubbling underneath the surface. Oh,
Notice we never
Jeremy
saw
and
any
Laura.
friends again after that.
Pardon?
I said, notice we never saw another set of friendship people in Jimmy or Chelsea's life after that again.
No, no, no. So 80's mom gives her a jade necklace that was being passed down through her family, which was really beautiful. She was wearing a necklace that Clay gave her. Or no, actually, that's a little bit later. So
Mhm.
before that happens, Clay's dad arrives to see Clay, and I was like, "Damn it!"
Damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I like his dad, handsome. His dad looks like trouble. He
Yes.
looks like I know the type of guy he is for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
He liked the ladies liked him.
Yeah.
You can still see that he has that like
Mhm.
that swagger. He
Yeah.
does.
He's
And I
very handsome. But
very, very handsome.
the conversation between him and Clay, I felt, listen, there was a few conversations that were very telling. The conversation between him and Clay was very telling before the altar. The conversation between Clay and his mom
After, yeah,
after
no,
the
of course.
altar was absolutely
That was
telling.
everything.
Every day, and then the conversation that his mom and dad had after the altar as well was very telling about where Clay is in life.
So at this point though, so Clay's dad helps him put on his jacket, and
Mhm.
then he seems to need to go and tell all of his athletic accolades of like why you need to bring up this story.
No emotional connection whatsoever. You're talking about athletics, track and field, his accomplishments. What does that have to do with him going to
But
marry the
I
potential love of
think
his
though
life?
what it did
Mhm,
was connected Clay with being the son that looks up to his dad, who
mhm.
was never really great at marriage and
Correct.
who was never a good person to his mom. And
Yep.
like a good husband to his mom. And, I think it just reminded him of their dynamic. And then it just kind of put him back to where he was before. So, all the growth that he has done with AD in these last few weeks, I think he just reverted back to the old version of himself in that moment because that that sometimes happens when you go to back to your family. Like you could have done all the health books and set webinars and sessions and therapy, and you go back with your family and you revert you back to yourself when you were a teenager living in their household. And so I think with seeing his father, it reverted him back to how he was before this entire process started.
Mhm.
And I think it allowed it to be easier for him to say no. He might have already been thinking about it, but it kind of, he's like, yeah, I'm not ready
Yeah,
to say
yeah.
yes.
He said it was a game time decision. We'll talk about that, but I think seeing his father and seeing what he's been running away from this entire process and confronting it and realizing I do not want to be this person to my son on my son's wedding day.
Hmm.
Like I don't want to have this relationship to my child on his wedding day because like I'm looking at, and there was nothing like No, and I'm not saying they don't love each other.
They were just kind of lads, like brethrens,
Yeah,
like, let's talk about the girls, let's talk about the ladies, like,
yeah,
it was a little bit more of that
surface.
than being a role model for what
Yeah,
true companionship and love in
yeah,
relationship could actually mean. He
yeah.
didn't represent that to me.
Because what could his father say to him? I fucked up my marriage. Don't fuck up yours.
Yeah, that would've been great. Like, if he said, like, "Hey, I know I wasn't a good example to you,
right.
but I really think that you have a good woman here that really is looking to go the distance with you,"
Mhm,
I'd be like, "I think you should take that leap of faith because it's worth it."
mhm.
He would've
Um,
he would if his dad said that, he would have probably been, like, taking it as advice.
I agree, but I also think that his father would have had to be self-aware enough to know that he needed to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes,
it was a performative
yes.
conversation, obviously talking about the accolades of his, like I was like, "Are you trying to get people to slide into your DMs?" Like, what are you talking about? Hi, Denise. Denise says, "Sometimes when we say yes, God says no." That's true. That's true.
Oh my god. Yeah, I have to tell you something offline, but yes. It's
Okay.
it's it's it or he says to wait.
Yeah, or it's not right now. Just hold
Yeah.
hold up for a bit. So AD is we're back to her and she's all done up, and her mom just keeps on telling her how gorgeous she looks, how gorgeous she looks. That dress looked gorgeous. Like, I like the dress better this time around because I
Mhm.
liked the other dress before.
Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of people who said the same thing. Like they loved that first dress, and then they understood her picking the second dress. But I really think like wedding day that was the right dress for this moment.
I mean, she looked great. It was a really nice color white. It's just the white was so freaking nice. It's just very nice. She looks gorgeous.
She
Like you
did.
said, she was wearing a necklace that Clay gave her, which I briefly mentioned before. And her mom just kept on saying, "You look gorgeous. You look gorgeous."
And that's the thing. Like I don't think he would buy her a necklace. Like if he didn't mean any. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because what people are using is that oh well he didn't come home or he used the excuse like he not to stay. And I'm like but he also did things that I don't think he would have done if his point was to dump her at the altar, right? Like to
I
me.
I don't put him in the same category as any of the other men on this season.
Yeah.
I think that he might be very emotionally immature, so maybe has the maturity of like a 19-year-old that's a stud that like gets all the ladies that he wants,
Mhm.
and he meets somebody that he's really interested in, but he doesn't know how to step up to be the person that he knows that they deserve. And I think that that's where the disconnect is that he knew he had a good one, but he knew that he wasn't ready.
Yes. And I think people are just like not giving him credit for both. Like they're like, no, it has to be that he didn't like her. No, you can know that you have the right person at the wrong moment.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So we see Clay's mom walking like with him at the aisle and kind of giving him a bit of a pep talk before she's going to go down the aisle. And both moms say to their sons, which I thought was interesting, is that like you might cry when you see her walking down the aisle towards you. I don't know if either of them did, like, but I thought it was interesting that both of the moms had warned their sons, like, you might cry, like, seeing that. But I think it actually, like, I was starting to get a little bit teary-eyed in these both of these moments, because there is something. I know people are like, marriage is just a piece of paper, like, we don't need marriage, it's no big deal. It's about saying yes to committing yourself to somebody, that I think is quite a romantic gesture. That is what I find so touching about seeing weddings, is that somebody is willing to say yes to you and you're willing to say yes to someone else, and deciding together that you want to have a future together. I think it's really beautiful. And so all the naysayers that are anti-marriage and anti-piece of paper and blah blah blah, it's like, well, I like the gesture. I think it's romantic and beautiful. So that's
Yeah.
my
I
piece.
mean, I've been married and there was years where I'd say I would never do it again. And then I did meet a person that I was like, wow, if I could marry somebody similar to this person, I think I could do
Yeah.
it. Yeah. That person still was not my person, but it actually gave me the hope that maybe there is somebody out there that could bring me the things that I would need to make that commitment again.
Mhm.
Uh, but yes, I understand the other side to it. There are, a lot more implications for me now. Like I have 3 children, and then, insurance and money and blah blah blah, like, right. So I get the other side of it that you have to think about. But and so I understand when you get to my age, especially where you're like, financially, this does not benefit me, especially like women who are in like the industry and stuff like that. We see a lot of them getting married and then ended up having to pay for their husbands because they were the breadwinners. So it's like, I do understand when you seeing that in society, you're kind of like, do I need to get married? But if you think of it as a union and choosing each other and all that stuff, yes, I think it can be a beautiful thing with the right person.
Rachel says people are coming at Clay for his reaction to seeing AD walk down the aisle. I can admit his sentiments at the altar left a lot to be desired. Well, we see all their friends kind of arm in arm coming down. So AD's friends and Clay's friends coming
Mhm.
down the aisle. We see the flower girls putting flowers down the aisle.
Mhm.
And AD comes down the aisle. And I think that she looked beautiful. And she kind of came up. And so what would you say happened when she got to the aisle would be why people would be coming for Clay?
I don't know, because my whole thing is, I think at that moment he made a decision, right? Like, I don't think the decision was made when she got face to face to
I
him.
think it was already made, to be
I
honest.
think it was already made, and he had to emotionally put himself in check. Like, shit, I've got to break this girl heart. She's crying, she's, emotional, she looks beautiful, but I know this is not the right thing for me. So at that point, yes, he's probably being a little selfish, but I get it. Maybe I'm the only one, maybe I'm the only one.
So what do you think Rachel means by his sentiments? Like
And
obviously at the end what he says. Um
oh, listen, I think the man totally thought that he was going to break her heart and that he was going to be able to date her after. I swear to God.
well,
Even though she said, no, that's not what's going to happen. Because he was really like, you're really going to make this like the line between us. Like he really didn't realize that this was a big deal.
she said it to him. If he didn't want to listen, that's definitely on him. She
Right.
said, like, I came into this process to get the whole experience. So Amber does, AD does say, I do when she's
Mhm.
asked. And we go to Clay and he says, I love you, but I don't think it's responsible for me to say I do. And she's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, he's right. He was right, because a lot of people kept saying, I want her to say no because he's not ready to marry her and he needs to do the work. And so why are people mad when he says, I am not going to marry you because I realize I need to do more work than you deserve for me to do in a marriage, right? You deserve better than me having to work on myself. I need to go to therapy by myself. Like,
Well, and the thing is, though, if she had said no to him, it would have let him off the hook with that
yes.
decision that he made, right? Like, if he's going to make that decision, he needs to see the weight of his decision and like the fact that he did lead her on to a certain extent because she laid down the law and said, hey, I am not looking for dating someone after this. If you can't say yes, I'm not saying yes to anything else after that. That means that it's over. And she let him know it wasn't really an ultimatum. She just let him know like those are her boundaries and that's what will happen. She wants to say yes to you. She wants to work with you. She's willing to be by your side as you develop and grow. And the only
I said,
yeah,
in a marriage.
in a marriage, she's willing to do that with you
She was
in
willing
a
to
marriage.
do that in a marriage.
Okay, so Rachel saying that rather than complimenting her beauty, he went to talking about her body. For me, it was his statements where were about what she does for him rather than who she is. Hmm.
Okay, but again, I think if we're going that he's emotionally immature, um, yeah, he's not going to be able to say, "You are the sunshine of my life. You are," you know what I mean? Like, you are the apple of my eye. You are this. You are this. Because people who are not emotionally mature can't appreciate you for you deep down inside. They can appreciate the shit you do for them, the surface shit, the physical stuff. They're not ever going to be able to reflect that back to you. That comes with emotional growth, because then you can observe it and replay it out, right? Now, for the body thing, I need you guys to understand the man likes a body. I
Well,
don't
that was one of his major things in the pods is like he wanted to be physically attracted to that person. And so she's okay, it seems, with him talking about her body and how she looks good because she even comes up and she's like, yeah, baby, I
that,
see you.
like,
Like,
why do you think she was wearing the dress? Do you think she was wearing the dress so he'd be looking at her face or her body? Like,
so I agree that like I personally would not necessarily want it to be all about my body. Like I would hope that the person I was marrying, we would have a different kind of way of expressing how much they felt from me and each other. But
mhm,
I do think that that is part of their language. Like that's part of their thing.
yeah,
Um it's a physical, there's a lot of physical attraction that between the two of them, and I think that that's what he was expressing because that's what he feels comfortable with expressing with her.
right. And I'm like, I'm very similar, that I don't like, not that I don't like it. Men tell me I'm beautiful all the time. Oh, you're so beautiful. Thank you. What else? Means nothing to me. Means absolutely nothing to me. Because you know what? Anybody can tell you you're beautiful. I like that emotional maturity connection thing. What about me do you like? Right? Because did you get to know me to
If
be able?
someone tells me I'm the smartest, funniest person they've ever met, like
Thank
I'm
you.
in.
Love it. Oh, you're so listen, even if they're like, you're such a weirdo, but I love it. I would be happy. I don't need, like, I know I'm beautiful. That's something I had to work on for me to understand that regardless of what anybody says, I'm fucking fine. That being said, any man will tell you that, right? But I agree. He, like, that's one of the reasons why he again shouldn't have married her, because if he cannot state to her why she is the sun, moon, and stars for him in his life, she don't need it. She don't need it.
Yes, agreed. So I love though that like she kind of went cold and just like, okay, let's go. I just walks off that altar and
Her
like,
mom went and she's like, "Let me help you down. Let's go."
let's go. We're out of here. Let's go. Like I don't think that he realized that when it was over, like he loses it all.
Yeah,
It's all gone.
no, he's like, "You really gonna make that like this? This is gonna be it?" Like, and then like he's like, "I think I need to go talk to her because I like in his head I could tell he was like, I think she thinks that this is it when I have plans to date her."
Yeah, he has plans that she's not part of. Never mind. Not at all. But she's like, so she's saying when she gets back into her space that he wasted my effing time, which like he did to a certain extent, but I do think that it possibly could be because he felt like he had to go all the way to the altar to make
Agreed.
his decision. Like that's the rules of the show, and so he's probably a rule follower. He's a Virgo or she's a Virgo?
She is a Scorpio.
I think he's a Virgo. And
Yeah.
Virgos are they like rules. They're definitely, systematic by the book, we'll say in certain regards. And
Yes.
so, they probably said, "Hey, you got to if you want to make these decisions, like you have to make them at the altar." Like I don't think that he wanted to deter from what he was told were the rules. Mhm.
And I could think about it. Knowing him, if he, especially being a Virgo, he probably was like, well, if I do it in the confines of the experiment, meaning I go to the altar and say no, rather than like dumping her before we even get there, right? That's less embarrassing for her than doing it beforehand, because beforehand make it seem like I don't want nothing to do with her. Be at the altar, this is part of the experiment, right? And so I could actually see him thinking that way, or having a producer tell him that
Like,
that's
don't
what
worry,
it
it
is.
doesn't mean that it's over. Like,
Right,
you're being
right,
honest with your
right.
feelings. Like, yeah, I
Mhm.
can see that a little bit.
Yep.
Hi, Miss T Joy. Thanks for joining us. So when she's in her quarters though, and she's with her family, and she's just like, I'm just never enough. And I was like, uh-oh.
That pissed me off, that she started internalizing it so much, and it's so not about her. It is so not about her. Sorry. Hey, Miss T Joy, and I see Miss Prochet here. Hi, Prochet. It I and that is the part that pissed me off, because I needed him to say no, and I needed him to be clear that it wasn't about her, but she had already started internalizing that if he said no, is because she didn't do something, rather than if he like he I don't want to see he's damaged goods.
But she did say that she likes a good fixer-upper, right? So,
Right.
if she's gauging whether he says yes at the altar to
Mhm.
whether or not she put in enough work to
Work.
fix him in
Mhm.
order for him to
Meet her
appreciate
where
her and,
she's
like,
at.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
she just feels like she didn't do enough and that she wasn't a good enough fixer-upper to make him ready to be married to her.
And she has to let that go, because there are just there's but so much work you as a human being can and or should do
And
when
I
it
mean,
comes to
like
her.
you kind of should just get somebody that's like doesn't need to be fixed up, like ready to move in,
Yeah.
ready to move in, like already furnished,
Yes.
like
Like you see that, like people who are like, oh, he moved in the next day after we met, and then we're married 30 years, and
it, or
nothing's
like they ready to
perfect.
move in, like not a fixer upper, like he's
Right.
the house, and
Yeah.
like it's a floor model, like ready to
Yeah.
move in, it's perfect, got
Yeah.
all the furniture,
He's
like
got to
it's
maybe
good.
move a couch or two. Yeah.
Maybe, but like no, it's perfect. It's my favorite of everything in there.
Yeah.
Or maybe change the couch. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Um, Clay though kept on being like, "Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
He
I'm
was
good.
so
I'm
not
good."
good.
And I
He
was
was so
pissed
not
because I'm
good.
just like, "Can you just pretend like you care a little bit?"
Yeah, and he was so not good. Like he was just coming up with it. Like you could just hear him, his wheels turning, trying to come up with excuses. Well, how can I make this understandable for everybody in the situation? And it's like, you have to eat it. Like you have to eat that you hurt her, and she's allowed, just like you're allowed to say no, she's allowed to be pissed off about it, and you have to eat it. I need people to understand there are actual actual like reactions to your action.
Mhm.
And then, okay, listen, there's a lot of times where I don't feel like I did shit, and then I get told I did something, and I reflect on it, and then I decide, am I going to apologize, or am I going to listen? If I choose not to apologize, that's me being an ass, and I'm going to eat it, right? Or if I choose to apologize, it's like I really care about you, and I don't want you to feel however you're feeling that I made you feel, even though maybe I don't feel like I went about it the
Mhm.
wrong way, but because you feel bad, because this harmed you in a way that I didn't see coming, I am going to apologize because I care about you.
Yeah, 100%. So Mary's here. Hi, Mary. Says I hope AD watches this and is done with trying to fix up men. I hope so
I hope so.
because like the projects are not fun. Like I know it seems like you could see the potential, but why
Yes.
don't you just find someone with the potential already realized? You
Yeah.
know?
And that is something, I get that a lot too, because people tell me I'm picky. And I feel like it's because I first of all, if I wanted to keep and be with somebody who was like not my person, I would have stayed with my ex-husband. So for me, you have to be
Better.
way, way better than that. Okay. Then On the other side, I feel like I'm not that hard of a person to please. I'm pretty simple. Not saying like, I'm better than other girls. I'm saying for me, there's only certain things that really are in the hierarchy of my list of things that you got to come
Deal
to the
breaker.
table with, right?
Mhm.
But like if I concede one of those things to you, you better make up the other things like exemplary. And I found that by sitting there being like, okay, this one thing, major thing, but this one thing I'm gonna allow to go, it ends up hurting me. It ends up hurting me in the end. She needs to stop allowing these men to have her fix them. She needs to just find the person that is fixed and ready to come to the table with
Yeah.
everything she's requiring.
But then also though, age-wise, she might have to start going a little bit older because men tend to take a little bit longer to mature.
Mm,
And so I wouldn't be dating anybody. I mean, I know Clay's 30, but I would say he's a very young 30. I think he emotionally reads about 19, 20, 21. And so I would say like at least over 30, but emotionally mature over 30 for AD.
mm,
I agree, Miss T. Joy. I don't think that he should have entered the experiment. I
mm.
think he was probably scouted,
He was.
and
He
I
said he was. He was scouted. He didn't know anything about the show.
yeah, I knew that he didn't know anything about this show. I wasn't just sure.
Mhm,
I wasn't sure if someone like nominated him or like how he got whatever. So he was scouted, and obviously it seems like it's going to be an opportunity. And so you don't. I wouldn't say no to an opportunity likely, and so I don't think that he fully knew what he was getting himself into, which
mhm,
I blame the producers that for kind of using somebody that they know is not going to be ready for
mhm.
ratings.
I agree because no therapist or psychologist could have heard Clay's story and cleared him to be married. I'm sorry.
Agree.
I'm sorry. There's no way. Absolutely no way. Somebody said, yo, he's got a lot of issues. I mean, maybe he could find the right person, but I'm gonna tell you the truth, he ain't getting to the altar. And they were like, perfect.
I don't like that. It's
Oh,
actually
like it.
it actually really, especially because it's like a black couple as well, and it's just kind of like it's kind of icky to
Mm-hmm.
me that they're using their emotions and AD's willingness to commit all in when they knew from the beginning that he wasn't ready and that he was probably going to say no at the altar, and they still pushed him to go to the altar so he could.
They probably made him say, like, you have to go to the altar because they knew he was going to say no. They wanted it.
Yeah, and, like, I hate that she had to experience that when they
Same.
probably knew full right from the beginning that he was never gonna say yes.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I at this point, I was like, I think that seeing his dad really fucked him up. Whether he was gonna say no before, I think that's solidified his decision was seeing his dad. It really reverted him back to who he was before this experiment. Um and he's trying to justify to the camera being like, am I a husband? No. Am I deeply in love? No. And I'm like, oh, that's also something that you
Yeah,
weren't.
that made me like, okay,
So
dude,
you've been lying too.
because what? That pissed me off. That one, and again, that pissed me off. But I also think that he was trying to like,
Make it make sense.
yes,
Yeah. So he decides to go and see AD, and she's crying obviously, and she doesn't really want to see him. She does, but she doesn't. And he says to her like, "I know it feels like I'm rejecting you, but I'm not." And it's just like, well,
but
go
you
ahead.
are
Yeah, exactly.
like there's a better way to say this than to bring up the fact that that's because it'd be like, listen, I am not rejecting you. But I understand your feelings. I understand you feel rejected, but this is me realizing I had to work on me. And you wanted me to work on me, but unfortunately, it was just not enough time for what we required to get married.
I agree, Miss T Joy. Miss T Joy's heart ached when Clay said, "But I learned a lot about myself through this experiment." And AD said, "But I feel like I am the sacrifice for
Sacrifice for
that."
that. And that goes back to her saying, I always like prep these guys for the next person. Like it's always me. I'm always the person that they cut to move on. And unfortunately, yes,
Well,
that's
it's not like you
literally,
fix things up and you sell it, right?
yeah, that's literally what's happening here. Literally, AD just because you again, people, I don't think he would be in this position if he did not realize the catch that he got. He literally realized, oh my God, she's perfect. Oh my God, she's probably the best person for me at this moment. Oh my God, I can't marry her. Why can't I marry her? Not because I don't care for her, not because I don't want to be with her. Sex is good. She has a banging body. She's beautiful. We would have beautiful kids. She's money minded, blah, 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 blah.
Actually, no, he did say something about finances that he hadn't gone over or
Yes,
something like
that
that.
was another thing. But I'm like, Clay, did you sit at home and go over finances, or were you just working, working, working? Like, anyway. Again, I think he was trying to justify why he did this, and yeah, no. But it was just like I do think that he realized she was somebody that he should want to like go to the altar to with, but he started to realize, why can't I get there? I can't get there because I have all these problems from my childhood that I am just now opening up about. I'm just now confronting. I'm just now, because even his mother had to say to him, it's okay that you said no. Don't let anybody guilt you into, and I don't feel like anybody on 80's side was making him feel guilty about it. But I do understand that for them, it was a, we understand that she's a great person, but he's not ready. Like, based on the conversations we're having with him, he's actually really needs to go do some work that it just was not enough time. I don't even know if there's ever going to be enough time.
No, I don't know if he's gonna be ready. So his mom tells his dad that he took his fidelity with him to infidelity with him to the altar.
Yeah.
And his dad definitely seemed really surprised by his mom saying this. And he didn't really apologize. And he said something about, like, she talks about how, we had 25 years of marriage and it wasn't good. And I'm divorced with you now. And I've forgiven you for all the things that you've done. But he took your infidelity to the altar. And she also says, "You met me, but you weren't good to me."
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
And I think that he saw that he met AD, but
Mm-hmm.
he wasn't going to be good to AD.
No,
And that was
exactly.
because that's what he learned from you. And
That's
that's what he was subtly saying.
That's exactly it. Exactly. I think they've had conversations, and because she said, I just found out things that
Mm.
I didn't even know you did, that he's been holding on to for ages, that he's just had to confront to get to this point in this experiment. Because his dad was like, well, that was just not the right person for him, and blah, blah. And she's like, no, 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 because they know that's not the case. They know AD was a catch. They know that it was that he did not confront the things that his father did to him, and that what his father did to his mother. And I think his mother realized, just because I forgave you for the shit you did to me in our marriage does not excuse the things that I didn't know about, because I
And
forgave
also,
you.
it doesn't actually forgive all the things that your son has learned and held on to. And, he probably has some guilt with his mom about, like, he's keeping a secret from his, like, there's a lot of things that went with hiding his father's infidelity, especially since he looked up to his dad and wanted to have his approval and wanting to, be like the good son. And, like, there was like a lot of stuff that was going on between them, and it really messed him up. And I don't think his dad recognized or took any accountability
No,
for what he's taught Clay.
yeah. So that's why I said, like, those couple conversations, it was like, whoa, like, they've been having conversations behind the scenes, and yeah, Clay realized how bad things are emotionally and mentally for him, and he realized he couldn't do this. And I know nobody wants to give him credit. I appreciate that he realized that.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
definitely glad that he said no, because I don't think that she deserved to have him the way he was feeling to say yes.
yeah.
Because I don't think that he would have been the husband that she is hoping that he would become. Um, so Rachel here is saying, I think AD will date him after, unfortunately, despite what she said in this episode, because she does say, like, unfortunately, I don't think that I'm going to date him after this.
Yeah.
Um, and then Prochet, though, here is saying that there is a video on TikTok of AD and Clay at around Christmas time, so she doesn't know if they are done.
Mm-hmm. But again, this goes back to, so which one is it? Does he not like her? Because you guys are saying that he did all of this because he doesn't like her. But then what? Because I felt like he thought that this was the show, and then when the show ended and the wedding was gone, he could work on himself and date her. And the fact that she, and what made him upset was that she was drawing the line that this had to be it, like
Mm-hmm.
they had to be married in order to be together, and he didn't understand why, because he feels like they're good together, he just needs to work on himself before he can get married.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was his thing, like, but I don't understand, I want you, I really want you, I want you, but not to marry you yet, because I'm not ready, because I'm not good. And you were willing to wait for me to get fixed up through the wedding. Why can't you just wait with me till we could do it
Well, anyway, he's
privately?
not dumb, though. He should have been able to figure out when she says that I am not going to date you after this, because
Yeah.
I want a wedding. I want to get married. I want you to be my forever person. So I can't, like, I understand that he really didn't know the show and he just thought that she was just saying that maybe for the cameras.
Right.
But I think that he should have been able to pick up that she was being
And
serious.
I was like, I'm glad she keeps reiterating it. So hopefully, listen, I hope they're friends. I hope that they don't date, but we will see at the reunion. Um, I would say I would start Clay on individual therapy, but also for complete. Okay.
I think he needs some therapy with his mom and dad for sure.
Yes. Yes. I think Miss TJ. Now that you said that, I actually think that that might get him a little closer to where he needs to be, because he had a lot of work to do, and he can't do it alone. I just don't. I'm happy he didn't allow himself to drag AD into it as a wife.
Yeah, I do, like, I know that we're saying here that they might be together, and I kind of wish that they are kind of dating, that she really stuck to her guns here, because I think that for a person like Clay, if he knows that he can still get the girl without putting
Mhm.
in the work, I just don't know if he will put in the work.
Yes,
And
Virgo.
so
I
yeah.
know it well right now. Yeah, I think so too. Like he, like, in order, but maybe that's what happened. Maybe she did stick to her and he like really went after her. I don't know. I'm just saying I hope it wasn't she stuck to her guns on camera and then right afterwards they went back together, but we'll find out at the reunion. I'm hoping more was, because this is where I think this was recorded at least a year ago. So I'm hoping that maybe he went and started getting himself together and maybe he came back for her. I don't know.
I
But
mean, I don't know if I'm just being pessimistic, but I just think that it should be over. Like, I'm not rooting for them to come back together, for
mhm,
the fact that I just don't feel like he's going to be able to do the appropriate work to be in the relationship that she wants. And if she gets back together with him, I feel like she'd be settling. And I don't think that he'll ever give her what she needs or deserves. It's just how I feel. Maybe I could be proven wrong, but
mhm.
I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not hopeful for them at this point.
As I said, I just hoped she didn't take. All I said was I'm fine with him saying no at the altar. I just hope she didn't take him back. So, I mean, I
Agreed.
guess we're both probably saying similar things.
Yeah, I don't want them
But
back together.
I also don't want to take away her autonomy. If sh I don't know. So I hate to speculate because I feel like with this type of speculation, it comes with judgment on her, and we don't actually know what was
I
going.
don't I'm not judging her,
No, no,
like,
no. I'm not saying
I
your
could
judgment.
easily
I
see
feel like
her being like, "I
judgment.
love this man, I still wanna explore this relationship." I
Yeah,
get it. I
yeah,
get that.
yeah.
You
Because
know,
we said that. We said that she might date him, but when she said the words, I just feel like because she said the words, I need you to stick
follow
to the
through.
words. Yeah.
To follow through, because like, her not following through with that, to me, would teach him that her word doesn't really mean anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he might learn that, "Oh, I could get away with anything that I want
Yeah.
because she likes me that much." And it just I think it just teaches him the wrong thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
I
just
agree.
learns that he can get away with whatever he wants because she loves him,
Yeah.
and that means he doesn't have she will lower her standards, she will lower her wants, her beliefs, like, she will drop all those things for this man, and I don't want him to learn that.
No, yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I think that she needed to stick to her guns. What, like, however she could do that, she needed to just be like, no, I told you I'm not dating you. We can be friends, but because I want to support you, I want you, but we cannot date, we cannot be together because you made a decision that you weren't ready for me, and you're not ready for me, which means that we can't be together. And that's it. And that's what I was hoping for, but I don't know. So I don't know if that's
No,
how.
because, like, I think she wants to be in a relationship, and I understand that. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. But I do think that if she kind of went in there, she's going to go back into the toxic kind of relationships that she's maybe had in the past with
Mhm,
these fixer uppers that have not worked out, that has made her feel like she's not good enough. And it's just like she's kind of perpetuating a cycle
mhm.
by not sticking to her guns. So
Yeah. I
I
mean,
hope.
to be fair, I will say, like, based on, I mean, I personally feel like then if they're together or dating or whatever, she's done a pretty good job of hiding it, because I feel like she always gave me single personally based on her um how do you say that?
Social media.
Social media. Yeah.
I haven't seen anything on her social media yet, so I'll do some creeping soon, to see if I find anything out before the reunion. But as far as I know, I haven't seen anything. I haven't seen this TikTok. I tried to do a quick search. I didn't see it. But I haven't gone into Reddit yet. So let me go to the Reddit to see if Reddit has all the tea.
Mhm.
Well, that's pretty much it for AD and Clay. Unfortunately, they did not make it to the altar. Well, they did it to the altar, but they did not make it to the wedding. They didn't get married. I wish them both happiness, success separately.
Mhm.
We already heard my thoughts of them potentially getting back together. I do not want that for her because I just think it would be so bad for her. But if she does it, I understand that your heart wants what the heart wants. And so I sometimes you can't behoove people for making the decision with their heart. It's their life experience. It's what their journey that they want to go on and
Yeah.
go through. And so I support whatever she decides to do, but I just hope she doesn't do that. Do you have anything to say? Final thoughts about this couple?
While I am sad for where we came through, I really, it really sucked that AD had to go through that emotionally at the altar. I loved her. I did love watching her journey. I do hope that she's able to reflect on what she needs to work on in order to get the right person for her. And that's all I want AD to win. Like, she's amazing. Personally, if Jimmy was the catch on the guy side, AD was the catch to me on the women's side. And so, yeah, I want her to win, and I want her to get everything. I do.
I think, I think she'll be okay. I
Yeah,
think she'll be fine.
I think so
Uh,
too.
I just, okay, yeah, Mary here says AD will be fine. She will find her person.
I agree.
Agreed. And I hope she doesn't think it's Clay though. Jimmy was not the catch. That's what everybody said though. Everybody said that everybody had Jimmy high up on their list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
I'm not saying he's not my catch.
I mean, out of all the guys, Clay would have been the best catch there. And
Yeah,
maybe that Ariel guy that we never got to see, that was
true.
Jessica's second choice.
Yeah.
I thought he was cute.
Hmm.
But out of the people
There
that
was a couple of cute black men that really didn't get shown too much. I just don't know. We don't know anything about them because they didn't show their personalities really. There was the guy that was like praying with like Trevor and somebody else. And let's talk about Matthew. I heard that Matthew deleted all of his social media.
oh, I haven't heard about anything about him.
So I'm wondering, will Matthew show up to the reunion?
I don't feel like that's
I
his
don't think
style.
it's happening.
I don't think he'll be at the reunion at all. Okay, not that I want to gloss over this couple, but I didn't really write that much about it. They didn't really have a lot for me to say. I'm very happy for Johnny and Amy.
Mhm.
From the beginning, they were a strong couple. Everybody talked about them being strong, and they solidified that strength. Because we first see Amy and her friends, and Johnny's sister did come to participate as being on Amy's side of the wedding party. Amy, Johnny's sister saying that she's so sweet, and Amy thinks that everybody's so sweet, and everybody seemed really happy and excited. Amy's parents came, her mom and her dad. Her dad makes a long speech, and it just seemed like everybody was happy. There was no friction, there was no turmoil. Amy's sister cried a little bit because everybody was crying a little bit. It was nice.
It was beautiful. From I swear, from the bachelorette party to the wedding, it was like the epitome of the love story. And I do feel like we got a love story regardless of whatever happens with them after the show. But I think both the show glossed over a lot to make
The drama focus.
the drama focus that allowed it to be like, oh, Amy and Johnny got married, anticlimactical. It's sad because I
Yeah.
agree here. I agree here with
So
Rachel.
Rachel says Netflix really did Johnny and Amy dirty in the editing. Brett and Tiffany were a boring couple with no drama, but we still felt
That's
that
what
we
I'm
knew
saying.
more about
That's the
them.
difference. That's the
I
difference.
was not invested in their relationship, unfortunately. I knew that they liked each other, but like I just didn't care that much.
Yeah. So now a couple of other podcasts that I listen to, I was listening to the ones that because I don't really listen to podcasts before we do our shows, but
Mhm.
um some some of them, they're reality fans, so they're like, maybe it's because Amy and John, like, whereas Brett and Tiffany they just gave something. Like, even remember when she fell asleep on the couch? Right? Like there was something that they gave. Maybe Amy and Johnny were just they
You're
didn't give
nice.
anything.
I
And
mean,
it's
I don't think that they did, because if they gave something, it would have been shown.
yeah, and I think it's okay. Like if that's the case, if they just cut them out, I'm pissed, right? But if it was that, hey, Johnny's Johnny and Amy's Amy, and there's no issues, and they're regular people, and we got a love story, I'm okay then. I'm okay.
Yeah, I wish that you could still have made this a little bit more of a seeing their love story a bit.
Mhm.
Like, they kind of were background characters that fell in love, and the experiment worked, but they just weren't in the foreground.
Mm,
And yeah, I do think that the editing did them dirty, because I think they could have shown something.
mhm,
It might not have been dramatic, but
mhm.
like they could have asked some different questions and just got a like better confessionals, like something. What?
Game of Roses was like that. They should have found somebody's panties in the couch and like hidden, made a whole dramatic
No,
segment.
no.
I'm like, what are you talking
Just create some drama. That's too
about?
much.
Like,
That's too much.
no, I'm okay without the manufactured drama in the Amy and Johnny story. So that's why I
But
was
maybe
saying,
like they could have like, shown them going on more dates or something like
yeah,
that, or
yeah, I
like
think that's what we were missing. We were missing more romantic connective timing. That
like
like
when we saw them roasting marshmallows. Is that
right.
it?
That was it. Like so when you come down to Jeremy and Laura are like gone, okay, start show. Hey guys, so yeah, we don't have to like. Let's. How about you guys go on a date? How like let us plan you a date. How about you guys have your friends over? Let's. Why couldn't
And
they?
did they do a male like couples, men or and women in the city like getting together for any purposes? They've done that in the past, or am I thinking of a different show?
I mean, I think that's what they were doing when they were all by the lake.
Oh, I was thinking when they did it, if they did it maybe separately, but
Mhm.
maybe that the last time it was in like a
So
room.
the remember the guys did get together. That's how Jeremy got in trouble.
Right. Well,
Um,
let's see
we
some of that then maybe.
Yeah, we didn't get to see any of that, so I don't know what happened there, or the aftermath. It just feels like they left on the cutting room floor the important parts because, like, AD and Clay's mom met up. We didn't get to see that, so also didn't get.
Mary
Yeah,
says, I think that Amy and Johnny also didn't get involved with the other couples either, which is fine, but it would have been, would have gave them another way to bring them in for sure.
yeah. That's
They,
what I'm saying. They focused all on the dramatic couples, but once they started allowing so Kenneth and Brittany leave, um, Jeremy and Laura leave, start bumping up Amy and Johnny romantic content.
please. Because like it's like if they're going to be there, like let's see them. Let's see why they're such a match. Like we know that there was no problems or anything, but I don't fully know why they're so right for each other.
Right. Like if even if you have to, I'm okay even if you have to manufacture that. Like make them have game nights, make them have friends over, make them go to restaurants,
Oh, and
like
look, that's another thing. We never saw Johnny's parents until the wedding. We
yeah.
saw his sisters and and his brother-in-law, and we never saw his parents until the wedding. And so I was thinking when his sister came to be part of Amy's bridal party, I was like, maybe his parents are not going to show up.
Hmm.
We do see Johnny's friends and family like before the actual wedding, talking about how on day 7 he slipped with the "I love you," and they're like she's the girl, and they're like yeah she's a girl. I think his friends were happy. They're excited for him. They believe him. Maybe he's never talked this way before, and so they're kind of all in. And then we get a dream from Amy, which Amy's friend who was doing her makeup and also had a dream like her father did about seeing a blonde man. So she saw a blonde man going to be her husband, and
Mhm.
her dad saw little blondish children.
Sandy haired children.
And so I was like, I mean, I love a good premonitory dream, not gonna lie. And so I was like, that to me, I was like, they're getting married for sure. These two dreams, like
Mhm.
this might be a success story. So
Yeah. And I think his friends were another set that during the suit fitting they met Amy and she's amazing and
mhm.
that she's their perfect match. So it's like in real life or his longtime friends and family seem to see that she's the right person for him as well. And I just think that between that and them getting the blessing from Amy's dad and there wasn't really that much of a pushback against the
No.
Amy and Johnny love story, except for the conflict within, which is stuff that they seem to have worked out for themselves, right? And so
Now,
I
what happens if the SCX is BAD?
it better not be. Jesus God,
I mean, they're both fire signs, so that's good. That's
better
good.
not be. Ugh.
I mean, AD was worried.
AD's a Scorpio, of course she was worried.
So we see Johnny's parents visit, as I mentioned, and they kind of have a little bit of a chat with him. And his dad is basically saying, like, marriage is the hardest thing, but it's the most rewarding thing, and it's like the most amazing thing. And so they're there to support him, and they're happy that he's getting to this place where he wants to marry this person. So
I think they live in New Jersey, though. I think that's why, maybe,
Oh,
'cause he
maybe
said
they
he's
traveled for the wedding, but they didn't
yeah,
travel for, like,
the rest of the stuff, yeah.
So Amy's dad does make a speech. I didn't write down the speech because it was kind of long, but it just basically said that he loves her and supports her decision and is really happy that she has found someone to move through. Like he's giving off his girl like to somebody else, and he supports it. Even though he was a little bit apprehensive about the process in the beginning, he's now believes that it can work. And so he basically gave her his blessing.
Mhm.
And then we're coming down the aisle. We see Amy standing with her dad and her brother that we had heard about. I believe he was autistic.
Yes.
And so like you can tell that she just loves him so much. It was just like really sweet that she had him standing there with her and her dad as well. And she walks down the aisle and coming over to Johnny, and she ends up saying some lines about like, how I love you and all that stuff, whatever. And then he said nothing. I'm sure they cut it out.
They
And then
can.
it went to like the I do's. I was like, I want
I
to hear
wonder if it
Johnny.
was cussing. I wonder because they only cut speeches like that if there was a lot of curse words in there.
Or maybe there was like noise or sound.
Yeah, or there was sound. Yeah, that's true.
Or, like maybe it was like, I don't know, a helicopter
That
flew by
yeah. Damn.
or something. But like, I was like, okay, Amy said some nice words. She's always the one saying these words like you're like you're the best man, you're amazing, I love you. And did she say this here? Like, you're not my usual type, but I fell in love with your soul. I was like, oh my God. Say that now.
That's Amy's thing. He's not a black man.
You a black man or Latino or both?
Or a Latino or both.
Okay, like ethnic.
Yeah.
Uh, so Amy is first to be asked if she wants to marry this man, and she says, I do. And
Mhm.
then they ask Johnny, and a long pause. And he says, I do. And they
Which
are
I guess
happy
is
and
the
they
only thing
kiss.
that mattered.
Pardon?
I said, which I guess is the only thing that mattered at that point.
Um, yes. So I guess they need to end the season on a positive note with having one couple getting married.
Mhm.
And that's the end of Love is Blind season 6.
Yeah.
It was a good season.
It
I
was a
wish
solid season.
it I wish that more love stories came
Mhm.
out of it.
Yeah.
I really wish that casting, we talk about it all the time, stop casting for drama and start casting for love, because when you get the authentic drama, it's actually better than this manufactured stuff.
Yeah. I will say this is leaps and bounds above the last 2 seasons.
It actually is pretty
Uh,
good.
in a more authentic ways, and
Mhm.
I do feel like, okay, obviously, season 4 did have a lot more love stories, but, there was a lot more, I feel like, crazy ass drama there. Season 4 was also solid. I will give them that. It was, it felt like they started the gross behavior in their production that season and kept moving and then just really torpedoed season 5. I did call this that I thought there would be very little love that came out of the season,
We
and
all kind of
yes,
figured that, but
yeah,
yeah.
and so I guess because they said that there's a bunch of love that season 7, so I'm gonna hope that season 7
Oh, so
brings.
they've actually said this now.
Yeah, they were saying because when they dropped the trailer, they dropped the trailer for both at the same time and said that season 7 was like the most romantic season ever. And I said, what about
So they
season
probably put season 6 beforehand just so like
6?
at least their next season will be more successes, hopefully.
Yeah,
I want an authentic love story, like we get it a little bit with Johnny and Amy here, but like I didn't feel it. I wasn't like, oh my God, like yes, like I wasn't
no,
super invested in it. So it's kind of like, okay, great, but
yeah,
I want to feel it. I want
yeah.
to feel
I wanted to cry at the altar with the rest of them, and it's like because I've cried. I listen.
I
There are
cried over Clay and AD.
yeah. I just I wanted to feel something and I didn't. That being said, solid season, much better than last season.
Mhm.
I do feel like this is a better route. Don't sit there and intentionally do things to hurt your contestants,
Yes.
but
And I think
let's
this is
also
why
work
so many people are suing Netflix right now, is
yes.
because they feel as though they've been kind of taken advantage of and, like, put through the ringer a bit, all for entertainment. And yeah, they've signed these papers away, but, like, come on, still have some human decency, please. And this is why these shows are not unionized, which is, like, kind of bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
make it unionized so you can have to respect these people as actors or as performers, or people that you're using their likeness on television for financial gain as a network. That would I think is what should be done next to all reality television, because I don't like seeing these contestants being taken advantage of. You know, people like on Squid Game saying that it was really cold and they got hypothermia, to, you know, this show we see that they are casting people that are lying about who they are. And
Mhm.
that's unfair. You're supposed to be protecting these people to a certain extent, and the unions protect people. So I
MTV recorded an entire yes, she did actually.
ooh, should we pull it up?
Yeah. MTV recorded an entire game show that they aren't showing and they're reshooting. An entire game show, which means somebody won the show. That means they probably will not get their money because usually in those contracts, they only get the money if the show gets shown on TV.
That sucks.
That sucks.
So Mary says, yeah, cast for love. Also, I wish these people were not conventionally attractive, because that is the point. If we can see shallow, attractive people, I would watch Love Island. Or make them all attractive, right? Because, like, you can't have all the women be more attractive than it. Just, they have to be a match, like, at least level wise, I think, for it to work as well. Because it doesn't seem to work when it's unbalanced, because the person that's seemingly that's less attractive in their eyes conventionally,
Yeah.
then they feel like they're not going to be able to meet up to the standard that the other person, and vice versa. They feel like I feel like the women are more capable of you know, we saw last season with what's her name, the blonde girl, and JP. She
Mhm.
was willing to
Oh
accept
my
him.
God. She was so will. I was like, does he realize that he is beneath her? And I was
That's what I'm saying. And so I they either all have to be not conventionally attractive, or all conventionally attractive for it to work. But for it to be unbalanced, it doesn't work. I find so far I have not seen people that are completely on, like, the scales are like this in terms of, like, their attractiveness. I haven't
Mhm.
seen it yet. They People end up with someone that are like this is the ones that have been working.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I
but
have
like shallow attractive people, yes, I do watch Love Island, and so I agree to a
I,
certain extent. But
I I don't I feel like we get a mix every year because they're like I don't know I'm not attracted to most of these people so maybe
it's
I'm
true. Rachel says I wish they'd stop casting and only use people who apply. That's true.
yeah that would be fair too.
That would, well, people that apply still could be looking
Scammers.
for followers and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Ooh, okay, you have it here. But at least they know what they're getting themselves into. They're not going to be somebody that's like, oh, you saw them on Instagram and you thought that they were attractive. Hey, come on this show.
Yeah, true. Can you hear it?
I can't hear it though. No.
Uh, let's start it over. There you go. Can you hear it now?
No, but it's okay. Is that his mom? Yeah, it is. Huh?
Yeah. So I
Okay.
mean, they're not right up under each other, but
Maybe they're best friends.
That's what I said, because I saw the video earlier and I was like, I don't know, maybe they decide to be friends and she's just being supportive of him. It didn't look like a, oh my God, they've been clandestinely, secretly dating this entire time to me.
Me neither. Well, this is it.
Uh,
Until next week, we'll come back on your channel to talk about the reunion and any other gossip that we have from now until then. Do we have a premiere date for Perfect Match?
no. So that's also the thing that I'm just like, did they scrap Perfect Match? Because I haven't heard anything about when that, oh, season two. Season two. Usually we get something of when those shows, or the ultimatum, everything we know. Okay, somebody posted an article. So an official cast list for season two has not been released. And
Thank you, Denise. It was great chatting with everybody here. It's been a fun time chatting about the season. Like I said, we'll do the reunion on Tamika's channel next week when she's back from her vacay.
yeah.
Um,
So this says end of the year, but this also says Love is Blind season 5, but
oh,
we're on 6, so I don't know.
what date does the article say?
It says February 25th, 2024, which
Oh,
is confusing.
okay. Bye, Mary. Mary is saying BB Can is already doing shenanigans. I'm annoyed. They really want to put an asterisk on Anthony if he ends as the winner. Hey, whatever. I mean, I, I'll probably be annoyed. I'm not up to date. But like with the I haven't watched the feeds or whatever the drops. I haven't watched that yet, so I
Yeah.
don't know a little bit of extra stuff. But I can't care.
Yeah.
I can't.
So listen, my first season of Big Brother ever was BB24, and fell in love with Taylor Hale, fell in love with that season, meaning her winning. And then I started connecting with other Big Brother people. Although I had followed the entire cookout their season because you told me to. Okay. But I saw Anthony Dougie Dougalicious somewhere, somehow, and I've been following that man ever since. That man is fine.
I've met him a few times.
He is definitely my type, body wise.
Oh, really? He's tall.
He is tall. He's
He's too
not.
young for you, darling.
He's way too young for me. I said this to somebody as like, he's way too young for me, but not too young for me to ogle. Right. So he's not in his 20s. I can ogle him. He's in his 30s.
Yes.
But the man is fine. I am excited for who entered the house this week. So I actually might watch just to see what happens, because I had no intention of watching. Because why do they not have feeds? I need them to have feeds. But I heard the digital dailies are a little better than last year.
They're a
Last
little bit
year,
longer, but it's just the one thing is that with the feeds, they're on all day, all night, right? And
mhm,
so with like Taryn, for instance, being able to do the live feed updates, we can watch all the content for the whole day, but we don't know when they're gonna drop the daily drop. It's
mhm,
never at the same time. And so like we're just waiting around all day for their 2 hour drop that they're going to drop for watching them make dinner, like, you know what I mean? So
mhm.
great. Though they're gonna be juicier, like just give us the damn feeds. Like you don't like just give us the damn feeds.
Just give us the feeds. And that was like, so much happened last season. I think last season would have been an amazing season if
Yes.
there was feeds. Whereas it was just an okay season because there was no feeds.
Well,
Like
the
all
problem
this
is that
stuff
I just don't know what happened. I don't remember the season.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
Like I've watched the feed since day one.
Mhm,
And I know, I mean, I can't remember all everything, obviously, but I have a pretty good knowledge from
mhm,
watching the feeds every year, 20 years ago and
mhm.
onward.
Yeah.
And I don't remember last season what happened. I
Mhm,
know who won. I know a couple of big players, but I don't remember any of the strategy or big
mhm.
move. Like I don't remember anything. I don't remember alliances, like nothing because I didn't watch them. Like, yeah.
I literally watched the feeds for 24 from week 3. And then I went back watched the 3 weeks that I missed.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched because people kept saying, "Oh, well, you didn't see the first 3 weeks because this happened and that happened." So I went back and watched just to make sure I had all the context. So I literally remember everything in a. People are like, "Oh, wow, you remember that?" Yes, because I went back and actually watched the feeds. I actually studied the feeds, so I actually know what happened. It was so disappointing last season for BB Can 11 when things
Oh,
were happening and
11. Sorry.
yeah, and things were happening and we didn't have any context of why, like no context whatsoever. So then people come out the house and they're making, well, it's because this didn't happen. It's like, but that doesn't make sense with what you stated, like even in the edited, like little edited drop that so it's like I can't trust anything that they put out. I can't trust anything that they put out, and it's unfortunate. It's actually really sad because I think last year I think they had a great cast. This year it seems like they might have a good cast, and it's unfortunate to throw great casts into a house with limited information on a show that's supposed to be 24-hour Big Brother, just so that you can keep sponsors. You have a whole sponsored ad on your Instagram page about going to go order food. And that is the reason why people don't have feet. So
Well, I was told that that's not the actual reason, but I don't know what it is then. Anyways, so Big Brother is not the same, but I will be live on Robinson Podcast after the first eviction episode of the season. And so join us there on RHAP. It's going to be probably at around 11:30 p.m. because we're going to watch Survivor. Rob is going to do his recap of Survivor after. I don't know what time. I guess Big Brother's at the normal time, but then Rob won't probably be able to watch it until around 10 or 9:30ish. And then so anyways, it'll be later, but I will be on RJP to talk about the season. I think Kevin Martin is going to be the guest winner that's going to be chatting with myself and Taryn and Rob. So yeah, join us there. Join us over on Entertainment in Color next week sometime when we talk about the reunion of Love is Blind. And anything else you want to tell the peoples?
So yes, I will also be next week. Tonight is the finale and reunion of the Traders. I don't know how they expected people to watch both and cover them tonight, but
It's tonight, not what, Thursday?
It's today. Oh, sorry, Thursday.
Okay, I was like,
Thursday. So what's been getting me is that they're doing both the finale and the reunion on the same day. So when I come back from my vacation, because I will be on vacation when all of that drops, I will cover both the finale and the reunion. And you might see me on a couple of other podcast channels, maybe covering BB Can. So check, like, just follow me everywhere. I may be doing things. You never know.
Never know. Well,
Oh, and I will be covering Traders UK. So when I come back, I will start because I think that comes out this week as well. So I will be covering Traders UK.
Sounds good. So thank you everybody here in the chat. You guys are the best. Thanks for watching. Like this video. Let us know if you think that Clay and AD got back together. If you think that it's going well with Johnny and Amy. Do you think that Matthew is going to show up at the reunion? All your thoughts and opinions on what you are expecting, hoping, or not wanting to happen, but are predicting. Let us know in the comment section below. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Subscribe to Reality Realness with 3 S's. Subscribe to Entertainment in Color. And yeah, well, I guess we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.